Hello, and welcome to a special edition Words About Things intro. Since we've only done one other episode, I can say this is something we don't normally do, but it was kind of warranted. The next podcast you're going to hear, Jeff and I talk a bit about having two microphones. We even decided that that's going to be part of the title. And then you'll probably find yourself wondering, well, why does this sound like the first one, where Jeff sounds like he's 35 feet away from the microphone? Problem was, we had two microphones. We recorded with both of them. When we tried to merge the tracks together, what resulted is an echoey mess that we didn't want to subject anyone to. I actually think that certain government agencies are using it now to torture people. So that is the, just the burden we bear trying to learn what we're doing with this with no formal training. So we appreciate your continued patience while we try and get this to sound a little bit better. And we also appreciate the fact that you guys listen at all, but also hopefully we'll be okay with the fact that this is a little bit late. The silver lining here is Jeff and I are going to be recording again in about 2 days, and then as we continue to battle ourselves on deadlines and getting things put together, the next episode, so episode 2 at that point, will be out on Monday, hopefully. Now that I've said that, something terrible will go wrong, but just wanted to give you a little heads up. We apologize. We promise that there were no clinking of glasses on microphone. And for those of you who had some concerns about it, here's your fair warning. This is not going to be safe for work. So earbuds in or in your car only. Thanks again for listening. And now without further ado, episode 1. And we're live. Welcome back to Words About Things. I am Joe.
Jeff Laidman. Hello.
And we're back with Episode 1, which may get renamed at some point. And hopefully by the end of this, we'll know what we're going to call it.
Just as a front runner, perhaps for now, I like Episode 1 now with more microphone, because I've got a microphone now.
I like that. I'm thinking, because of some of the topics I know that are going to come up, we might have to George Lucas this and name it Episode -1.
Yes.
And make it a prequel, because there's something that came up. But before we get into all that, as always, I get to say as always, even though we've only done it once before. That
is literally 100% of the time.
Exactly.
I think you would have done that, so I think you're good to say that.
We're going to start off with the kickoff question. For those of you who might be new to this, first and foremost, go back and listen to episode 0. But basically what we're going to do is we grab a writing prompt off the internet, or I should say I do, and then Jeff gets to answer first. I get to answer again.
I do have to say, though, being that I'm the less swift of the two of us, I feel like it's not fair that Emily doesn't get to prepare, but go crazy.
That's all right. This one might get us into a bit of a bigger discussion than last week's did. So it's a real basic question. Just, you're digging in your backyard, garden, whatever, and you find a lump of gold the size of your fist.
My immediate thought is, I already know... I'm not going to say his name on the podcast, but I already know which friend I'm going to figure out where to fence that shit through.
So you're...
Because the girls just got their college paid for.
You're going straight to... you're just going straight to get the money.
I had ancestors which may or may not have been pirates. So we'll save that for a later show, because they weren't probably such great guys.
Oh, Blackbeard Laidman.
Gold in the backyard. I'm getting some cash for that. And then, yeah.
Very nice. My answer, I thought of two possible answers, because initially, and I guess this just means I have a terrible image of myself. Initially, I was like, well, that'll pretty much all be spent in equipment that I buy to see if there's more gold, because I'm that terrible of a planner. But upon further thinking about it,
spreadsheets you would make.
Yeah, I'm telling you, excavating and ground penetrating radar.
The first obvious step is to dig as far as you can until you hit whatever layer of crust in your backyard doesn't allow you to dig further without bringing in a construction crew,
right?
Just to make sure.
Right.
But then beyond that, oh yeah, I'm selling it.
Yeah, no, I would. The second thought that I had on that was, because I kind of said, nah, I probably wouldn't really do that, but just because then I'd have to spend money putting more grass down. But the second thought was cut that sucker in half, sell half, and have some fun, and then keep the other part till gold prices rise. And
bury your gold like Ron Swanson. I like it.
Yeah, there you go. Bury it again, forget where it was, and then someone else can have the same dilemma. So yeah, that was the kickoff question. I just checked the email, and sadly, no one has emailed, which is okay. That's fine.
There was activity on Twitter, though. I know you don't. I know you haven't signed into the Twitter account.
No, but I check on it.
We did get a bunch of people following us there, though, which is nice. And some of them, frankly, were not people we know. So I don't know if that is...
I'd be careful with that. I probably know.
Okay.
Yeah, if you pull... Well, let's not throw Twitter handles out on something that...
Oh, I'm not going to. I know a couple of them because... well, I guess I shouldn't assume that you don't know them because you don't follow them on your Twitter account. Because, frankly, you don't use your Twitter account.
Right.
But that's fair. I didn't recognize all of them, though. And a couple of them... did not. I went through like the account, some of the tweets on the accounts, and I didn't see any potential link to you. But I guess I won't assume that's not.
Yeah. I know. I definitely saw at least 3 people that are following the official Twitter account, which, just for the record, is at WRDS about things. So words about things without the O.
It's true, as opposed to words without things.
Yeah.
Which, if you listen carefully to episode 1, is what I've called it in that episode.
Nice.
So it's not bad.
I took a look at that, and there are definitely at least 3 people on there that I do not follow on my personal Twitter account. Mainly, I apologize to the 3 of you that I assume will be listening. Not because of any malice, but just because I didn't realize they had Twitter.
Back from the show, Joe. I know you actually use your Twitter. I tried to hold this down.
I've been using it more. Fair enough. But last week, I mean,
your profile picture is still sideways.
All right.
Your profile picture, I don't believe it.
First and foremost, sir, I'm going to have you fix that because I tried to fix it and it doesn't. Okay, so I don't want to hear about it. I blame Twitter because I flipped that thing multiple times and it just keeps coming up sideways. I got to figure just something's off that I'm missing, which is fine. I don't care. I'm very bad at Twitter. But last time I checked, which I will assume it's at the same place, which we're both sitting in front of internet-capable machines we can look at. 34 viewers. We've hit suburban coffee shop level of fame. How do you feel about that?
I like it because I thought we were going to have 5.
That's fair.
I thought the 2 of those would be our wife and girlfriend, respectively. Although, did Danielle listen back to it?
She did not.
I mean, granted, she had to sit there and listen to it live the first time.
Right, and if I'm being honest, she probably would have had to download it on my computer anyways. So, I don't really know if that counts. Maybe I'll make her download it on her tablet.
Though, and she was amused by it, and I have to say, I did not anticipate her being amused by it. Because typically my nonsense is met with the largest eye roll you can imagine, as opposed to any sort of encouragement about my nonsense. And so I thought maybe something had been done slightly right.
There you go. Well, I'm currently trying to get into that to check, but still at 34. I want to thank I don't know, pretty much. I think everyone I sent something to grabbed it and listened to it. So that level of support actually kind of meant a lot. I do have one person. I don't know what you found, but I had one person who came back to me and said I get 10 points because I listened all the way to the end, and I'm not emailing, but I'm holding you to this shirt. I'm not going to say her name, but I've known her for a long time, and that actually meant a lot.
That's kind. Maybe we'll even get her something that's not a 4XL. It's splurge.
There you go. I know that she has a dog at this point. At least I hope she does. If something happened to that dog between last time I talked to her and now, I'm going to feel like a jerk. But maybe we'll get her. We'll get the dog a shirt and we'll get her something better.
I like it.
There you go. Now, what kind of feedback? Because I got some very interesting feedback. So what kind of feedback did you get? I mean, did anyone, send anything out, make fun of you?
No, everything was pretty positive for the most part, which was nice. A couple people said it got a little bit slow, that we talked about like insurance company X experienced too much, which is, I mean, we did. I mean, certainly that's not going to be a mainstay of anything going forward. We're figuring this shit out, people. Give us a break. But the one thing I will say, and we won't make this mistake again, I had 2 different people come to me when we were drinking beers.
And get mad about the clinking?
When we yes, the toast that we had with the beer. One person said that it nearly blew their eardrums out. And,
I'm sorry. Whoever that was, I apologize if that hurt you, but that's very funny to me.
he said he nearly blew his eardrums out with his earbuds in because apparently the audio level was a little bit quiet for him, and so he had it cranked way up. And was listening to it from the gym, and then we did that the first time, and bleeding ears, I guess. I don't know. And I had another person tell me that she was listening to it actually in her car, and actually this was Mel, this was my wife, was listening to it in her car, and the first time that happened, she thought that her car had broken because it was so much louder compared to at least my voice. Because so the mic we're using now, we had one as was well documented with my shenanigans of not having a mic last time. I was sitting basically behind the microphone, so I know I was pretty quiet on last week's episode. And after you all now get to hear my nasally bullshit voice at full volume, you're going to probably wish we went back to one microphone.
Yeah.
But when we did that, it was so much louder than I was that it evidently was a problem.
Ah, all right. Well,
the first time it was a surprise. And the second and third time, people were just getting angry. So we will potentially continue to drink beers. There will not be clinking, however.
Oh, we're clinking. We're just not doing it in front of the microphone.
That's fair.
Or near it. No, that's really funny, actually. I got a couple people that were like, all right, I listened to it. It was definitely interesting to hear, a pre-recorded thing with someone I know, which was kind of interesting. But I got a lot of really positive feedback on it, mainly from close friends. But I got a lot of people saying, why? Like, why did you decide to do a podcast? What was the catalyst, everything else? And I kind of thought that was actually a pretty good thing to bring up and maybe get from your perspective, what made you decide to, because we both know the story
sure.
of how this came up, and I'll relay that quickly for people. The way this all came up is honestly, it was, I'm going to have to find the date because I know that a catalyst in my, story on this is May 7th, and I'll explain why I know that later. But Jeff had texted me and just said, it was something funny and said, by the way, we should do a podcast. And it was just the right point for me, which I'll get into again a little bit later, to just fire out to him, we'll call it Words About Things. You figure out the other stuff and get back to me. And he sent back, oh, that's a great, love the name, like, let's get this done. And I think between the two of us just kind of sending a joke back and then being serious, like, okay, I found mics, let's get this done. That's kind of how it came, in the short term to fruition. But, do you have any, backstory as to, what got you thinking about it or anything like that?
Well, I've been a big fan of a lot of the Smodco podcasts for years now. And I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of podcasts that are maybe more structured than those, and very clearly more structured than ours. But those aren't the ones that I tend to dig. The ones where it's just people that just sit down and have a conversation, I think are the ones that I at least find the most enjoyable. Which I've always been a little bit of a talk radio person, but those specifically, it's like talk radio for me because those guys sound like me and they talk about shit that I'm interested in.
Right. Instead of the NPR, very close to the microphone.
That's true. There's no way I'm ever going to sound relaxed enough to be an NPR host. Let's be real honest there. Well, are you saying this voice isn't as soothing as like Ira Glass? Come on.
I don't know. Ketamine exists. We could just trank Jeff down.
I'm just saying, man, like the sweet sounds of Terry Gross on the mic, and then you get this shit coming through. Like that's not happening on the same station there. But
for the record, Jeff has just named 2 more NPR hosts than I ever could.
I do listen to NPR, I do, but so it's just funny because with like the podcasts I like, it's like it's a real similar sense of humor. What I feel like some of us, like myself, some of my friends have. And so there's a couple people that I thought, like, hey, I bet I could do a podcast like that or something like that with them. And actually, I had a radio show years ago in college for a couple years. But, we couldn't really do what we wanted to with that because it was more formatted with the school and stuff. So, like, we could talk for a certain amount of the hour. We were required to play a certain amount of the bullshit songs that, the record companies would send in, which, we had to skirt that rule as closely as we could. So we couldn't fully do with that what we wanted to. And so something like this where it's just a total open format, it was just appealing to me to do it. And yeah, I've always kind of, you and I with similar interests in certain comics and like stand-up comics and movies and stuff. I just feel like we're on a similar place where we'd be able to work off each other well. And it was the night when we got going back and forth. And I'll just say his first name because he follows us on Twitter, and he hadn't posted on his Twitter account like a year and a half. So evidently he visited him. I haven't spoken to him yet. See if he listened. Greg, who we worked with us in insurance company X. There had been what the hell was it? It was I don't remember what product you had seen. Oh yeah, you at the gas station. It was
Monster.
Like, Monster muscle milk, some sort of horrific bastard shot.
Yeah.
Like how? Okay. I used to be in shape. I'm an old fat guy now. Muscle milk kind of seems like nonsense to me. And people I know who are actually in shape and work out and stuff, I think would agree that some sort of mashup between an energy drink that's aimed at tweens with flat brims and a bullshit fitness supplement, probably not getting you on the right road. But I believe you said it was like Greg and I had a love child, and that was the drink that was created. And then I believe that conversation ended with some sort of brand of gluten-free steroids I was going to be launching that week. And so I don't know. It's just the sort of
did this really
of that. And I shared that exchange with my wife, and she was amused by it. And I feel like if she can amuse me, a similar, a goofy little text message exchange, I was like, hey, maybe we're onto something here. Because she's got a sense of humor, but it is, it's kind of similar to ours, man. Like she's a big, she's actually turned me on to Kevin Smith movies originally. So she's got like
really,
yeah. So she is.
I now like your wife a little bit more than you.
I know you somehow not met her yet, which that'll probably be remedied tonight. But
yeah.
Hi Mel. there's, I know she said she liked the first one. If she gets to minute 16 of the second one, I'm going to be impressed. So let's see if she ever gets that little shout out.
Well, now she has to because we can tell her now that minute 16 has a mention of her. And now she has to get to that point, and now I'm going to tell my portion of this, and I don't think your wife is the type to offend people, and I will be offended if she shuts it off. I should drop little test words in every minute, like cantaloupe, so that I can come to her and be like, "What I say? It's 17," but I'm not going to give Mel homework. I also may have to change your wife's name. We'll get back to that. There are far too many Mels in my life right now. And I'm tired of it. So, yeah, I mean, mine actually, it's funny because both of ours deal with Kevin Smith a little bit. We'll have to fire him a tweet and thank him because, I mean, if you go way back, we can go all the way back to when I saw Clerks because that kind of started. Because I've always kind of kept an eye on Kevin Smith, between the movies and the... for lack of a better term, spoken word stuff that he does, where he just goes up and does Q&As and things. I've always kept an eye on that, but I've never been like a diehard check the View Askew Universe website or anything like that like every day. So sometimes news gets to me a little bit late. And what's really funny is he's been talking for years about this, the story of when his father passed. And I'm not going to go into all of it. If any of our listeners want to hear that and don't already, I'm going to mention a book that has it in it. But I've heard that story many times via podcasts, via him talking about it on stage, things like that. And it's never really clicked in my head. It's always been a very kind of, he turns it into an uplifting message. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, that's kind of when he decided, life's too short to not do anything that you want to go out and do, to just go for it. And the reason I mentioned May 7th before is because I was in Barnes & Noble May 7th. I remember that date because I was picking up a book for Danielle that was part of our 5-year anniversary gift. And I decided to pick something up for myself, and it was one of those things. In my head, I was like, I should pick up that Kevin Smith book. I know he wrote one. Let's see if they have it here. And they did. They had like one copy left, actually. Tough shit for anyone who's thinking about it. Or looking to go pick it up, which I recommend. And the book opens pretty much with that story. And that's when it clicked in my head. And then you and I texted a couple days later, and I was like, you know what? I've always thought about doing a YouTube thing. I've always thought about doing a podcast, a blog, a video blog, whatever. And I've just never done it because usually in my life I get people who ask why. So when you were like, we should do this, I said, let's see how serious Jeff is, and let's hammer this out and make it happen. And now here we are, about a month and a half later, recording a second one. So we'll have to send Kevin thank you tweet. And then, hey, you never know. Maybe he'll listen to it.
He'll clearly see that tweet out of his 8 million followers that tweet him something.
You never know, man. Did you see recently? Do you follow him on Twitter? He does send out a lot of tweets, which makes sense. He's got a lot of stuff going on. But I know you follow everyone and their sister, so you might have missed this one. Someone tweeted him and was like, hey, can you like take a picture for my friend to keep his spirits up while he's fighting cancer? And he caught that and he sent back a picture. So I don't know, he might actually read through enough of those, but whatever. So that's actually my story. And those people ask why, if you're one of them, because of that Kevin Smith story, he talks sometimes, depending on when you're catching it, he talks about cutting out the whys in your life and finding the why nots. Don't worry, I'm not going to cut you out completely yet. Keep everyone in good behavior.
You like episode 1? Fuck off. You're dead to me.
Yeah.
You're dead to Joe. You can keep listening to me. Yeah. That's fine.
My mom did listen.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. I called her up.
How long are you grounded for?
You'll like this. I called her up and I said, hey, Ma, just so you know, I recorded a podcast, and then I stopped. I said, do you know what a podcast is?
I was going to say, Matthew got to explaining what that was.
No, she actually, she'll get mad if I don't say this, because every time we talk about the way she says stuff weird and stuff, she's like, I'm an intelligent person. I was like, we're not saying you're not intelligent. Like, we're just saying sometimes, I don't think she understands that to me and to a lot of other people, it's very endearing. There's certain stuff I think about that my mom says, and it doesn't matter how bad of a day I had. If that pops into my head, I'm laughing the rest of the way home.
The way she said, I hope she doesn't take it that way, because the way, what was it? This does not offend me.
Yeah, it's proper English and everything. Yeah,
sentence that a moron's going to slap together. There's nothing grammatically wrong with that at all.
Yeah,
it's just not. Most people would say that in a much more sloppy way.
Right.
Than that.
Exactly.
So that's not, there's credit to do there.
So she had a pretty good general idea what a podcast was, and of course immediately because I told her, I said, you can listen to this if you want to, because I mentioned you on it. However, I said, we might have passed your swear threshold. I said, we didn't just be gratuitous, but it came out. And she goes, so this is on the internet forever? And immediately I thought she was going with like, you said my name and now it's never getting deleted from anything. And I said, yeah, and kind of braced. She said, so anyone who's looking to give you a job can find out that you have a potty mouth? That's immediately where she went with it. But yeah, and she apparently listened to the whole thing, did not like the idea of putting her, apparently it was just about putting her face on a Star Wars thing
next to Yoda.
Yeah, apparently not gonna fly. So
I mean, you chill next to Yoda though. I mean, he's a smart dude too.
Yeah, I don't know. So I'll have to figure out something else on that front. But I will give you this. She did. We were out to dinner with my father. See, I was there, so I get credit for this. We went out to dinner on his birthday. The old man turned 70, and he was talking to me about like a phone holster. My mom leaned over and she's like, if you needed a new holder of phone, and Danielle picked on it way faster than I did. Like she is so tuned into it now, and she about fell on the floor. And then I caught up and started laughing, and that's just that's your Joe's mom quote for the week on that one. But yeah, she was not happy with the magnet idea.
Maybe a delightful fridge magnet, sir.
Yeah. I
mean, really, I could make it for you anyway, and you could just put it in your fridge and take it down.
I wanted to.
Granted, she's going to listen to this now, and she's not going to be pleased with
right.
it. So that's fine.
I want it. The funny thing is, though, I actually didn't want it for me. I wanted to give it to her. But hey, whatever. Maybe I'll put everyone else in the family on Star Wars characters.
I can just Photoshop you onto worse things than her, and then it'll make her look great by comparison, and she'll like it.
There you go. I did read, now my brother says that I will never get anyone to believe this, but I've confirmed it. For everyone listening, I have never seen an entire Star Wars movie. There are a lot of other very, very huge franchises that I've not seen, but that one seems to be pretty big. And but the funny thing is, because it's in pop culture so much, I still get most of the references. Yeah, like you have to go really far off.
I'm going to get you on record on the show saying this because then you can't back out of it. You said that if I find you an old enough version of it that it doesn't change who shot first, that you would then watch the trilogy.
Absolutely. I see. Here's the thing. So that's a little bit that is 100% correct, and in an odd way, kind of wrong. It's not that I want to watch them. I really do, but someone actually was talking to me, and they went through that scene because that's what it was. I was making fun of, and I apologize to all of you in advance. I was making fun of all the fanboys who apparently went to theaters when they re-released this stuff and were like screaming at screens and stuff. Changed that, blah. Jabba wasn't in this movie. Like they were.
You mean George couldn't hear them?
Yeah, yeah. Those all that stuff. Like, and I don't mean screaming at computer screens. I was regaled with video footage of people screaming in movie theaters and getting really upset. And I get it. Like, if someone changed something really specific from my childhood, like I don't know, completely jacked up the way a Ninja Turtle looks, just as an example. In a major motion picture by someone whose name sounds like Michael Bay. That was an F, by the way. F is in Frank.
I don't care. I've heard they're shooting, for those who don't know, and frankly anyone who doesn't live in Buffalo doesn't know, the new Turtles movie that's being shot, there's a major highway that runs right through the middle of the city of Buffalo that was shut down for a full week? Longer than that?
Longer than it probably needed
10
to.
days, maybe. It's because they're shooting a bunch of, car chase scenes for the new Ninja Turtles movie. Because I don't know. They're going to drive now, I guess. But I'm sure it's not them driving.
Well, they did have they had a turtle van.
They did.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's,
I think it was an old
but
news
if Michael
van.
Bay is making the new movie and there's going to be a turtle van, it's going to fucking transform into something. So I hope that's not what's going to happen. So anyway.
Well, no, it should, because then they can tie the two universes together.
Oh, God. They can just fucking ruin everything. Anyway. And then it'll explode. So, I guess, somewhere in the city this summer, I guess they're going to be shooting other scenes, too. And if I find out where that is, you're out of your mind if you don't think I'm taking a day off from work to go be an extra in that shit.
Yeah.
Because I don't care how bad the movie is, Jeff wants to walk behind a Ninja Turtle in the background.
There you go. There you go.
Shame. But that's fine.
Plus, if you do that 3 times, don't you get a SAG card or something? Just as
I
an
almost
extra?
feel like that's not true.
Yeah.
I'll ask my brother-in-law. He's got a SAG card.
There you go.
Not that he'll know either, but it's fine.
Right. So, anyways, the guy was showing me this stuff, and I was like, it's kind of stupid, whatever. And he goes, no, you don't understand. And he kind of went through the whole who shot first, Han or Greedo? I feel like that's right.
It is.
And, he's like, it changes the character development. I was like, you know what?
Or perhaps more accurately, as Jason Lee so eloquently put it at the Counter Clerks too, who shot first, Han or Greedo? I'm sorry, his fucking character in that movie is amazing. But I do have to ask this, though. The person that was having this discussion with you, is he older than us?
Yeah.
Okay. And the only reason I ask that is because, and I'm sure this is not true 100% of the time, but most of my experience, people who are upset about that change being made are people who really grew up. I grew up with those movies. Like, I watched them when I was a kid, but it's different for people that are our age than somebody who was a kid in the 70s and actually saw them in the theater as a kid and were, like, fully immersed in the fucking awful Christmas special when it was on TV and all the toys as they were being released and all that stuff.
Right.
Because, like, for me, I like those movies a lot. Like, I consider myself a fan of them, but I'm not going to win a fucking trivia game of any of those movies. Like, I enjoy them like I enjoy other science fiction stuff. But I feel like people that grew up with those and then had a major part of it change, most people our age are as emotionally invested as people that went and saw those in the theaters, and it was so mind-blowing to see that.
Right.
Like, when the shit comes in at the start of the first one, which you don't know about because you haven't fucking seen it, weirdo. But I'm sure it looked a little bit different in a screen than it did on my parents' television in my basement as a kid on a VHS tape. It wasn't as majestic.
Are you talking about the shot that looks like it's under the ship as the ship comes over?
Yes.
Yeah, come on, man. I mean, seriously.
You watched enough Muppets Babies that you saw that shit when you opened up the door.
No, actually, that might have been something. First of all, I've seen bits and pieces of the movies. Secondly, had a computer game where you got to fly around in different Star Wars ships.
Those are fun.
Yeah,
True.
it was like 1995, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, and then, you look at, I mean, if you watch the, no pun intended, the Seth MacFarlane universe, you've seen enough Star Wars references. I mean, there's some subtleties and things like that.
Well, you're going to have to watch this shit now because I spend a lot of time in flea markets and thrift stores, and frankly, there's one specific VHS box set that I see all the time for about $4 of all the three original movies that it was released in 94. Like, it's the same box, I always see it, and that was way before that shit was re-released. So that's going to be the original films. The problem is, I don't have a VCR, and I feel like you don't have a VCR.
Absolutely
so
do.
if I buy you do?
Hmm?
Okay, because I thought if I buy those, I'm going to come to your place and be like, hey, I have these rectangles that we can't use. So I was a little bit concerned. So you're going to have to watch now, frankly, because it's...
Pick them up, man. Even if I can't find that VCR that I know for a fact I still own, might be at my parents' house, but I feel like it made it to the apartment. Even if I can't find that, I will... This is how dedicated I am to actually seeing the originals. I will take that to one of the places that puts VHS on DVD and pay them to do it.
What?
I don't care how much. It can't be that expensive.
As
It
someone
can't
who's
be.
never watched any of them, why can't you just watch it on a DVD now like a normal person and just pretend like they didn't fucking... I don't understand.
I don't know,
How
man.
can you
You know,
upset when you never saw it the first way? Like, that's why it's like you got some mealy-mouthed objection because they changed some shit that you never saw it the first way to begin with.
oh, mealy mouth. That is just your catchphrase, and I giggle every time I hear it. You know why?
There's like an extraordinary level of contrarianism that you're going to refuse to see it on those screens.
I blame my best friend. I will tell you why. So oh God, people are going to be so pissed. So another movie franchise that I have seen one full movie. I have seen very large portions of the first three.
Can I guess?
I think you know, but yes, you can guess.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say it out loud because it's too embarrassing.
Yeah. So no, I'm going to
embarrassed
say
for
it.
you.
So I have never seen in full
Oh God.
an Indiana Jones movie, and my friend, who I won't mention his name so that there won't be a lynch mob in his house, hated that and everything else. So when Crystal Skull came out, he forced me to go to the theater and watch it. And we all know how that turned out. And when I was walking out, he apologized to me. He said, I'm really sorry. And so now I'm gun shy to watch anything that's been redone or, reinvented or anything like that because I'm terrified. Whatever. It is what it is. If it becomes too difficult, eventually I'll just have to watch the Star Wars stuff. And I feel like if I watch all three of those, then Danielle will win the battle of getting me to do a Harry Potter-a-thon, which I'm pretty sure is like 36 hours if you watch all of them.
Related to you watching?
Because I'll probably do
Star
all of
Wars
them in
trilogy.
one day. And those are those like a standard hour and a half?
They're a little bit longer.
Yeah, so you're looking at probably close to 6 hours of TV time, so should probably get me on that one. Whatever.
Do it while she's at work?
Yeah, if I
The
could.
fact that you're watching that, though, that doesn't mean you have to sign up to watch Harry Potter.
Now, I've seen all the Harry Potters, but she wants to do a Harry Potter-a-thon and watch them all.
I'm sorry.
I don't even know how long
I just
that
have to
is.
stop you there for a moment.
Yeah. Yes, I've seen all the Harry Potter films. I can see it on your face. And you know what's really funny? I never knew Harry Potter existed.
Spent watching the original trilogies. Oh my God! How many? Aren't there like 18 of those? There's 18.
I think there's 7.
There's 14.
There's 38. That was one of the first times that I knew I was an old guy. She wanted to go to one, and she wanted to go. It was one of the last ones, and she wanted to go to the midnight premiere. Now, generally, I would stay away from that like the plague because I have huge social anxiety. I don't like people, everything else. But I figured, hey, I'll take her to this. That's fine. I think actually I was making up for 2 blunders that I had made by taking her to the midnight premiere of the new Alice in Wonderland. Tim Burton reimagining.
Yes.
So, first blunder going to that movie. And second one, I fell asleep in it. Well, it was, in my defense, I was working at 5 a.m.
That film deserved to be falling asleep in as well.
Yeah.
I just was saying, oh God, because you drag her to bed and then start snoring.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't really drag her to it. We both equally wanted to see it.
Okay.
But yeah, so that might have been part of it. But I think it was also just this is the girl wants such very simple things. So pick and choose. So we went to that and saw a bunch of girls who were like absolutely not legal, and even if they were, in my eyes now, legal's 24. Like, I don't even care if it's technically legal at 18 or 21. I know. And there were, in what I can only imagine is they went to a Halloween store and picked up slutty Hermione costumes. Like, and
then ran off to the field.
Yeah, and it was
I will say though, I just have to stop for a point because I think it's interesting. Just for our listeners, how old are you?
31.
Yeah, oh God, that salt in your beard, and you're younger than me. It makes me feel bad somehow in a reverse way. 24, though, as a cutoff for, and I'm not even saying from like the use you just said for the age. Earlier today, you used me picking on a 24-year-old as an example for me picking on a young person. And I just feel like that's fascinating.
Well,
that someone that's 7 years younger than you.
Well, you got to remember though, this is probably 4 years ago.
Fair, okay.
Okay, yeah, because when the thing came out, I'm just more saying these girls were not college age. They were definitely not high school seniors. And in my mind, it was like, what parents are letting their kids out? And just all this stuff.
You're shaking your fist. For
I really was. It was just, and the funny thing is in my head, I'm going, even if they were 18, I'd still be kind of mad. Even though, in general, scantily clad women, not a big deal. But yeah, that's one of the times when I realized it was just like, I'm old, because I look at that, when I was 18, I was like, oh hey, better not get in a car accident now because I'm looking at something else. But now it's just like, where are your parents? Let me talk to your mother. Where are these hapless individuals?
I've got daughters now, Joe. I understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about it last time as well.
How is it though? Has Danielle seen? I mean, she digs like Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Yeah.
So presumably she would dig the original Indiana Jones flicks, right?
I think she's seen them. I think she's seen all of them.
Because it's in a similar vein of humor. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, like Guardians of the Galaxy to me was Indiana Jones in outer space,
right?
To a certain extent, at least.
I'm almost positive she's seen them. If not all of them, she is at least, because I mean she knows a lot about that whole thing, and when it comes on, I'll be like, which one's this, and she knows right off the bat. So I feel she's seen them. The weirder thing about this is I've never seen a whole one of those, and I distinctly remember going for Halloween as Indiana Jones one year. And I think it was mostly because I really liked the idea of a fedora. Because I know he didn't wear a fedora in the movie, but that's what you get when you're a kid, is you get a fedora. But yeah, I haven't seen those. I haven't read some of the books that I definitely should have read at this point, but whatever. I'm still probably better read than most. Oh, speaking of fun things with books, the reason this comes up is a story I won't relay live because it'll get me in trouble. But
you can tell me off mic later. It's fine.
Yeah, I probably will. The Barnes & Noble text that I sent you. So to fill everyone in, Barnes & Noble has a new fiction section. And really, it's definitely set up as not like, hey, this is a new cover. This is new fiction. And I sent a tweet out about it. What was it? It was, they had Great Gatsby in that section because it was around the time that the movie was coming out, so they put in a new. I'm pretty sure it was Gatsby, wasn't it?
Sending me that that was with like DiCaprio, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't see the movie, but I don't know. It's probably fine. When you sent me that text, though, I meant to ask you, and I don't think I ever did. Was it actually like a novelization of the film that they had released as new, or was it just the original? Okay. Because there would be no reason to do that. But let's be honest, I wouldn't put it past someone to do that at this point.
Yeah.
Let's make a book of the movie of the book.
No, it was the actual book. So I sent out a tweet saying something to the effect of, "This is why our kids are stupid."
Yep.
And we went in there, and what did we see? Probably To Kill a Mockingbird up on there again.
It was something very similar to that. It wasn't that. I think it may have been. But.
And so if anyone from Barnes & Noble sees this, stop doing that. set up a section that says classics that you should probably read. And, you know what it might have been?
Noble in Buffalo next week. I'm just going to put like A Tale of Two Cities on that.
Yeah,
Just before, when I find out you're going, I'm going to go in.
You've just been gaslighting me the whole time?
Yes, actually, it's just been me. It's not been Barnes & Noble, it's just been me.
It might have been Catcher in the Rye.
You know what? I think that was it.
Yeah,
well, it was Catcher in the Rye. I didn't think it was Kill a Mockingbird, although that will be there when you go next. I'm going to do it.
The other day, I woke up, so mid REM sleep, woke up, and you know how you wake up when you've been dreaming, and you're like, oh, and sometimes you come up with very odd, weird ideas.
Yes.
I was like, I woke up, and I was just like, I should go there and just stack the Bible on that thing. just because I like, pushing that envelope and really being that much of a jerk. But that's why I get to think those things, and I've never gotten to do them, which bothers me. But now I get to put them on a podcast, which is kind of nice. Did you see that thing on Facebook? I don't know if you would have, because I feel like probably people. First of all, I have no idea how Facebook works and how it networks, where you see who put where. Do you like that?
I did. I'm not sure where you put the words in that sentence, but yes, I did.
But Danielle, not Danielle. I'm sorry.
Did you see what they had been doing like 2-ish years ago?
No.
So this was it was reason that this didn't get more attention because it seems like the sort of I mean I kind of stopped using Facebook for this anyway. I'll go on once every couple months and just look at whatever my wife has posted about our kids. But they had been intentionally, with like large pieces of like the Facebook community, been feeding. I don't know how they selected the people to do this for or anything. In terms of the background of it, it probably hasn't come out. But certain people's profiles, they were specifically only sharing positive posts from those people's friends, because you don't just see like back when in the early days of Facebook, obviously like. Anybody you followed, you'd see everything they posted. It was just all thrown up there. And then at a certain point, they changed it, and some algorithm selects what you see and what you don't. But it wasn't, for certain people, it was all positive. And then for certain people, it was all negative shit. Like sad shit and upsetting shit that people were posting. And then they were monitoring those accounts to see if that then drove that person's feed in the exact same direction. And I feel like that's the sort of thing where they've just been like, that's human guinea pig shit, and they shouldn't be able to do that. But allegedly they've stopped it, because I saw like one little thing about it on the news, and then I heard it mentioned once on like some Sunday morning thing on NPR, and it was like gone forever. And it seemed to me like that should have been a bigger deal, because you got millions of people on there, and so presumably there were at least thousands of people getting fucked with by Facebook without any consent. To be an experiment.
Good Lord, that is just terrifying. What's funny is I'm getting older, and I feel like I'm becoming more of a conspiracy theorist, and that terrifies me. I'm so glad I don't have one of those accounts. Of course, 2 people I know who, well, one of them might eventually listen to this, did set up a Facebook group or something like that in my name, which I would love for that to be deleted, but neither of them can remember.
It was a Twitter account, wasn't it?
No, they did a Twitter and a Facebook.
Oh, because I found the old Twitter account.
And the Facebook group.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and that's that is the inherent problem with that, because I will tell you right now, the secondary Twitter account doesn't cast me in a horrible light, but it definitely doesn't cast me in a delightful light. And if anyone ever finds that, well, and everyone who listens to this is going to go find the damn thing and bring it back up. But
it's like 4 tweets, though. I mean,
they're not the greatest tweets in the world.
Well, no, like 3 of them are about tits. So let's be honest there.
There's something about cougar hunting and shit like that. Yeah, so that part kills me. I wish I could just write Twitter and be like, hey, that's me. That's my likeness. Pull it down. But, now with the internet, it doesn't really matter even if I do that, I feel.
If memory serves, it does feature a delightful profile picture of you having a hard time with like a cup of ramen noodles.
No, you know what it is? I know exactly when the picture's from.
Which is not sideways, by the way. So whoever said that did a better job than you.
Oh, I'm never going to live that down. You've got to fix it now tonight before I leave.
Just because this is not a visual medium, I'm just going to let everybody know I was just flipped off.
I'm preparing for when we actually film this.
Nobody wants to see these faces.
No one wants... Well, I don't know. That might not be true. People... No, people watch stuff that's way... Well, 2 Girls, 1 Cup was shock value. But people watch, they watch that. We're no worse than that. I'm not saying we're better, but we're no worse than that. I have not seen that, for the record. But... it
was fake anyway.
Whatever.
It's like pudding or something. I never watched that.
Okay,
and I saw
sir.
some story.
All right.
I was on Snopes to try and debunk something else, and they were like, that shit was like a dessert food. And I was like,
all I'm putting on here is I'm paraphrasing Joe Rogan at this point, so no intent on stealing stuff. Even if it was pudding, it's still pudding that was up a girl's butt.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And to paraphrase further, a girl that will do that, not the girl you want to be doing that with. Because I'm sure she didn't get paid anything. I'm sure she doesn't have like a royalties thing set up at all. So back to Facebook. Apparently, there have been. I said it was Danielle. It was not Danielle. It was a woman at work who brought up that people were quoting Leviticus because of the fact that homosexual marriage is legal and so is pot now,
yes.
More or less. And
he who lies with man shall be killed, smote.
Yeah, something like that. So I'm waiting.
In the Lord's name.
Yeah, I'm. I wish people. I think it's good that people get outraged about stuff. Like, did you see that story about the guy who he was dancing at a club and this guy saw him. The guy is a heavier gentleman. He was dancing at a club, and a guy saw him, and him and his friends were laughing at him. So the guy stopped dancing, and the dude took pictures of it and put it up on Instagram or something. And I can see you in the thing where you're trying to find something about it on the internet.
I don't know that I'd be able to quickly enough, but I mean that's I don't know. It's
all you have to do is type in body shaming dance party to Google, and there's a Huff post on it. So for those of you who don't want to go Google this, which is fine, basically it's a bigger guy, and he was out at a club having fun. He was dancing, and someone took a picture of him dancing, and then the guy, the heavier set gentleman, I've got to find his name, Sean O'Brien. Okay. So Sean O'Brien saw these guys laughing at him and stopped dancing. And you can tell that, he's a little bit, I don't want to say feels bad, but, you can definitely tell he's not as happy, not dancing. And they put it up on online. I think it was Instagram or Twitter, it might have been. And, I'm pretty sure some models basically got a hold of that, and they were just like, yo, body shaming is not okay. We're going to throw a dance party for this guy. And they did it. And Moby DJ'd, I think. And it was a big event. And I think it's good that people jump on stuff like that. But I think at the same time, someone, kind of needs to come to defense of people who have to, see this stuff on Facebook come up where, people are quoting a religious text that is mostly about love, doing stuff like that. And it was funny because the woman who brought it up is actually a very religious person. And she said, she's like, all those people that are reading that, she's like, they better hope they're not eating cheeseburgers, because Leviticus is also where it says, people who mix meat and dairy should be put to death or unclean or something like that. So that's the very interesting part of the internet to me is, some things just catch attention and, get legs and get solved. And then these other things where it's offending an entire community kind of don't.
Didn't mean to be silent for a moment there. I was just enjoying the article about his dance party that they threw him.
Yeah.
I do like, though, my favorite thing I've ever seen with that Leviticus shit on Facebook, though, there is And
I love the fact that you call Leviticus shit.
Well, if I can't eat a cheeseburger without being called an abomination, Joe, it's not going to work for my lifestyle. So, anyway, there was a guy that was on some local news station somewhere, and he had not a sleeve, but like a paragraph of text on his arm somewhere. And it was the, like, man shall not mate with man as a woman, whatever the fuck that line is.
Did anyone bring up that tattoos are forebode
Well,
against,
no,
depending on what part?
That's it. So it's like the, like, I don't know if it's the verse immediately prior to that.
Oh, come on, really?
The verse immediately after that specifically says, and I just pulled this up because I don't want to get it wrong, do not cut your bodies for the dead, and do not mark your skin, I am the Lord. And
nice.
That is it's like on the same page as the man shall not melee with man bit. And that dude evidently never cared to look at that page. Just went and said, hey, my preacher said this shit, that makes sense. And then just ran off to get that tattooed on his arm.
That's phenomenal.
I did, as we're speaking, I just found the tattoo.
Yeah.
And turns out, I didn't remember this part, he is covered with tattoos everywhere else too.
Oh, nice.
Which good for him, but reading comprehension is important, kids.
Yeah. You know, it's the funny thing about that is I remember, so when I was a child, I was forced to go through CCD, which was my church's version of Sunday school. It happened on Mondays. And I distinctly remember one of the religious people, I don't know if it was a deacon or a priest, but it was someone who, was up on stage on Sundays. Probably shouldn't call that stage. Was up on the altar on Sundays. Because I don't mean to be disrespectful at all. If, religion, if that's your thing and you're nice to people about it, you have at it. I think it's a good thing. But pretty specifically said, look, beyond the Ten Commandments, the Old Testament's not really where you need to be looking. That was kind of his thing. And years later, Lewis Black put it out there as, you guys read the Old Testament, that's our book. Because he's Jewish. He said, that's our book. We don't read and interpret yours. And, I kind of looked into more of that, and I said, oh, yeah, look at that. And that's the part that I love is, you can't really take a look at this thing. And then there must be a verse in the Bible somewhere that says, being a hypocrite's cool. Because that seems to be...
I just love the concept that, like, people who are super religious to the point of, and like you said, man, like, whatever. I'm a well-lapsed Catholic at this point. That's not a secret. But anybody who's, like, really religious and uses that as a reason to be like, gay people are living in sin. It's like, I like to just take a moment and think, so in your world, there's some all-knowing, almighty, omnipotent being who created the entire universe. And somewhere up there, he's sitting back on his throne, looking down our earth and going, ew, gay. Like, you're like, what? Like, how can that exist for you?
Oh, that's awesome.
If, like, I just can't get my head around that. Like, the smallest shit that catches people out.
Oh, yeah, I don't think
I don't know.
I don't think God says, ew, butt stuff.
Right, like, God, it's like the smallest shit, and you think, I don't know.
You know what's going to happen now. I'm going to get into a car accident on the way home. I'll be at the pearly gates, and I'll meet God, and He'll say, I don't like butt stuff. That's what's going to happen now.
And you go back and hunt your buddy Jeff and tell him those bacon cheeseburgers, I'm coming for him.
Gotta love that.
It's going to look like cardiac arrest. Really, it looks like that I've smote him.
Yeah. Going way back, we're going to get off the religion topic now. What's really funny is my brother got mad at me because I didn't give a not safe for work tag, because he works in a place where he can just play stuff, but he apparently has massive, very expensive, very nice speakers that he listens to this through, or was going to, and that became a problem when the first swear word, because he's in the Bible Belt. So that's...
I do have to ask, though. Oh, he can definitely play this episode really loud, then.
Yeah. You have to ask what now?
Oh, God. So, does he not... How would he think he's going to listen to something that you recorded for the internet and not be concerned with any naughty words at all?
I don't know.
Even if you speak maybe more carefully around, like, certain parts of your family, I don't know how... You think you should blare a podcast recorded by a couple of idiots and not think you're going to have problems at your job somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think he just feels that a not safe for work tag would have been warranted, which, credit to him. We'll call it John's Law. It's going to be on the next one. I'll make sure people know.
Well, let's do that right now. I feel like 55 minutes into the show is a good time to let people know if you're offended by naughty words, this might not be the show for you. Not safe for work.
Yeah, not safe for work at all. But I was going back to, oh man, I lost the train of thought now, which sucks. It was something that we talked about way in the beginning of the show. Some kind of feedback that one of us received, but I can't remember what the hell it was. And that's fine.
The clinking, the car braking noise of the clinking.
No, it was.
The talking about work too much.
Nope. Yeah, I'm not. It's not going to come back. It'll come back when I'm driving home.
That's fair.
Or probably more aptly, 30 seconds after we stop recording. That's what'll happen.
That's the only feedback I got for the most part. So that's what somebody said to you.
Interesting. No one complained about it being really long. That was the first thing I got back from my sister was an hour. Fuck's sake! And I think
that's not long for a podcast.
No, it's not at all. It's short for a podcast.
I mean, like any of them I listen to, like the short episodes, like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't presume that people would want to listen to us for that
long.
But I mean, I was trying to edit it down to an hour. What did we? It was like an hour 5, I think.
It was 1 hour 6 minutes and 10 seconds.
About a minute 5. So
I know that because I've tried to create a movie out of it 500 times.
As far as podcasts, I mean, this one might end up being a couple minutes longer, but I don't think we're gonna go like crazy.
I don't know. We'll probably record way more than that and then cut it down because there was some stuff that I think needed to be maybe edited out that we got way too far into it, but whatever. No, she sent that and I sent back, dude, and I referenced one of her graduations that was just much longer. I don't want to go too far into it because I don't want to publicize too many details about people who are not. I mean, we've made the conscious or subconscious decision to be like, hey, we're going to put our full names on the internet and attach it to something, whereas other people haven't. So I don't want to mention her college.
I feel like if we just even use just like first names, though,
yeah, they'll still find her. But they'll still find her. I'm sure they would, but yeah, I don't want to mention specifically what college. Plus, she went to 4 of them, so. But this one happened to be.
Well, let's call it state.
Yes.
If she went to 4, one of them had to be called state.
2 of them, 3 of them actually.
Perfect. State.
I think, yeah. So I just said,
state.
Yeah, I said, dude, state college graduation. I didn't get a response after that. I'm pretty sure she downloaded it. I'm gonna go with she probably didn't listen to it. The people who I know listened to it sent me a text that said, I get 10 points.
I didn't have anyone though say that it was too long.
Really?
I get some feedback. The bit where work came in a lot was a little bit slow for a minute, but I didn't hear anybody say it was too long.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? There you go. That's actually what I was going to say. So 2 people that listened to it specifically sent me messages, and they were like, "Oh my God, love listening to you here complaining about people," because I used to do that a lot working at a gas station.
I don't mean the complaining about people bit, because I think that anyone who works in any sort of job where they're either in front of the public or have to deal with the public all day can appreciate that part.
Right.
I think we got a bit too specific.
Gotcha.
With certain things.
Yeah.
Because people are not great. And I have a person I'd like to talk about later, actually, that I spoke to at work. But it's really not specific to work as much. So much as just.
Yeah, I there's a girl that listened to it. I shouldn't call her a girl. She's got 2 kids and shit. There's a woman that I used to work with who was like, "I love that. Are you going to talk about the signs you wanted to make?" And I was like, "Oh, I definitely remember signs that I wanted to make that I couldn't remember exactly which ones she was talking about." But the funny thing was I did make a sign that said, "If you're on your cell phone, we will gladly wait till your call is finished before interrupting you with service." And I found out that most of my employees didn't live by it, but I absolutely would tap the sign. People would walk up on their cell phones. It got to, because I was in Williamsville, which for those of you who are not here, Williamsville, even people who don't live there drive into Williamsville and then think they're better than you.
Williamsville.
Yeah. And so, they were sitting there talking on their cell phones like, it was really important. And I would just tap the sign. And they'd look at it. And I had one lady who just was like, oh, I don't need it then, and just walked out. And that's fine with me. I had other people who, hung up the phone but got angry.
Was there another sign above the door angled somehow magically so they could have only seen it and said, and don't come back? Because that would have been the appropriate follow-up for
that would have been good. Yeah. I
can't fucking yap on my phone while I'm trying to pay for shit, so I'm never coming back here again.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, don't treat people like vending machines. That's what you get the most there, is people would just walk up and they talking on their phone. I had one lady once talking on her phone, threw a $20 bill on the counter and just walked outside. And at that gas station, you couldn't see every pump. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. I had contractors there with big trucks and everything. I can't see what pump you're on. I'm sorry. And she came back in. She's like, you're going to turn the pump on? I'm like, if I knew what pump you were on. She said, well, I'm in the car out there. And I said, come here. I said, look, point to your car. And she still didn't get, there was a box truck in the way.
You're just supposed to know.
Yeah. Just used to kill me.
So I just have to say this. There's really no great build-up to this. It's not a long story at all. Somebody called me at Insurance Company X, and it was a 40-minute phone call, and they were furious because their bill went up. Now, if I was to stop talking there, I know that sounds like a legitimate reason to be mad. Their bill went up, and this is not an approximate number, this is an exact number, 62 cents per month. If a bill that I'm paying, Joe, goes up 62 cents a month, first of all, there's not a chance I'm even going to notice that. And it's not like I'm rolling in cash. I'm driving a 13-year-old Subaru. Love my Subaru. But regardless of that, how did you even notice that? And then also, in the 40 minutes that you just spent screaming at me over 62 cents a month, if you'd just gone to work at your fucking minimum wage job that I assume you work at, given your reasoning that you're using, you'd have just made enough money to pay off the 62 cents a month for the entire year.
That's awesome.
And this person lived in Brooklyn. How can you live in Brooklyn and be pissed about 60 cents?
Right.
Like, I don't...
That's awesome.
I don't understand being upset about that.
Just as a point of reference, some of you may have heard or not heard, I don't know how to say, the stunned silence from me, because that's even crazy in my book. And to give a point of reference, a 40-minute phone call is about 38 minutes too long in the department job works at. Oh, that's phenomenal. That's great. See, right now, as I've just switched jobs, I don't have customers yet. So we'll see what happens. I don't know that I'll talk too much about that.
I had another one actually today, which was not really infuriating so much as just confusing. 5-6 minute call, it's fine.
Yeah.
Woman called upset with, I guess I won't say names of other insurance companies that aren't insurance companies, because you get narrowed down to me pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So somebody called up with a policy number, which was clearly not from anything I do.
Right.
And starts she's crying because she can't make her payment. But her policy wasn't with the insurance company I work for. And I said, no, I'm definitely sorry to hear you're going through a hard time. I would definitely want to help. But the policy number you're giving me is not for this insurance company. I'm not able to access anything. I said, if you're with... And she was saying the name of the insurance company she's with. And I said, that's not who you've called. I don't know how somebody gets through...
Oh.
Hold on. Right. Silence.
I'm sorry, that's too funny. So for those of you who are going to hear the weird click,
we both done it once.
Jeff has just said his insurance company's name.
I did what Joe did in the first minute of episode 0. All right, so I don't know how you get to me through 18 phone prompts that I'll say the name of insurance company X, but she did, and then I said, you have to call that company.
Right. And
she just would say again, I need help with my bill.
Yeah.
And this was not a person that sounded like they were disturbed.
Yeah. She
sounded normal enough. And it just, it was 6 minutes of, I need help with my bill, and me saying, your bill is not with this company. And so I think that she just assumes that every insurance company is just one massive company that's tied together. Because she just didn't get it. And I was like, you just need to call the number on your bill.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that happened to me more than once there. Where like in the sales department, people would say, "Oh, I love," and they would say the mascot or spokesperson for a different insurance company. I would just go, "Oh yeah, me too."
Even that though, like that, and that happened to me too. And I get that because at that point you're just mashing advertising together.
Yeah.
I was like, "You don't have a policy with me,"
Right.
and she's like, "Sure, I understand completely. How can you help me with my policy right now?" And I don't know. It was just terrifying, frankly. And after it got to like 4 minutes, I was like, maybe this call will never end. And unfortunately, it did. Because I wanted to come home to my family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was the end of the day. Yeah, maybe she... Yeah, I can't even... the only thing I can speculate is maybe she wanted a quote. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. Yeah, like I said, my last 2 weeks, 1 week was spent camping. And this past week has all been a training environment, which is so nice. I forgot how nice training was. Is there anyone has a job where I can just train? Not train people, just sit as a person being trained constantly.
You can make that happen. You
Seriously.
just need to be putting in applications like halfway through the training process at the job you're at now. And you just keep doing that.
Yeah, it was...
what do you do for a living, Joe? I'm a professional trainer.
Yeah.
Oh, really? What do you do? I just keep getting new jobs.
I just keep getting new jobs at excessively large companies so I can sit through their training.
Meant, Joe.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be fun. I'm sure I'll have some stories about that later, though. You know what is very funny? We're pretty far in here. I'm not going to say a time because I'm sure we're going to edit some of this down because I've heard some stuff I don't like already. And we've not cracked a beer yet, and I definitely brought some. So what I think we should do is we should hit our pause buttons here.
I'm going to request that you don't hit pause, though.
Okay.
For sake of editing on separate tracks. So we are going to get refreshments. All right, a little break for refreshments.
Yeah, there we go.
We require a shandy to be had at the break.
So tonight's beer, and Jeff ensured that we clinked off mic.
Yes.
So that no one has to deal with that.
No,
Although,
your Forester's not broken.
Yeah. I have noticed that sometimes, for some reason, when I laugh, my mic picks it up huge, so that might kill some people, too.
I at least feel like that's less... I mean, your voice won't sound like someone's drive shaft.
This is true.
Though, so at least there's that.
This is true.
So we've got your Narragansett, which we enjoyed their coffee milk stout last week. We've got presents Dell's Shandy. It's refreshingly different.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's refreshingly different because, I mean, to me, I've not had a bunch of difference between shandies I've tried. And usually I just make my own, frankly.
Yeah.
If I feel if I'm in the mood for that. But
Right.
This is good.
Yeah, this the backstory on this one is apparently Dell's is a very popular... Anyone who listens to this, don't get mad at me. It's a very popular lemonade stand out in Rhode Island. I don't know if they do anything else there, like hot dogs or anything like that. But so what Narragansett did is they just said, screw it, let's grab that and mix it with our lager. So they took Dell's, brand of lemonade and mixed it, bringing together, two Rhode Island favorites, apparently, which I've had a couple times. I do like this one. I've definitely checked it in more than once. And we'll have to do that again on Untapped and such. Now, while we're doing this, I do have to mention this. I noticed you had while we were pouring, you had a $2 bill over there.
Yes. I'm afraid there's no fun story about that.
Jeff,
I brought that home from work and it just happens to be sitting there.
Yes. I would say you should keep that as a point of reference. I'm a bit of an amateur collector. What's the word? It's numismatics. So I'm not even trying to figure out what someone who does that is called. Okay. But I will tell you this. I'm not sure because I'm not looking at the stuff. The bill's not worth that much because it's obviously circulated. But the fact that it has a red serial number on it, that actually did stop long before the $2 bills stopped. Well, they still print $2 bills, actually, which not a lot of people know. So that actually is kind of a cool...
they stopped doing that, too. There we go.
Nope, they still absolutely make those. So that is actually kind of a cool little thing. They used to do red serial numbers on a lot of bills, but those bills were far more used, so they're mostly gone. But I would hold on to that, just because it's kind of cool.
Well, fair enough.
Same reason I hold on to
someone that came into the bar where she works, got done at the strip club, and still had that left, and so they left it as a tip there.
Only if that's that old. You must know that strip club that is no longer in business that was one of the owner's ways of making people spend more money, is he would give change in $2 bills.
Did not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rick's Tally Ho. That was one of his things. Is they very seldom had $1 bills on hand. It was all $2 bills, because then the girls got $2 tips instead of one. Bartenders got more. So, yep.
So for any of you young, aspiring strip club owners out there, you keep that business advice in mind.
I'm telling you, man, that's a business to get into. It is.
I'm just an aspiring flea marketer. I've got no aspirations to that.
Yeah. Now, you had mentioned you found something that you wanted to talk about at a flea market recently.
I did. Well, first of all, I bought myself, and this is maybe fun for only people that are as big of nerds as I am. I found a Michael Jordan Space Jam action figure doll thing in the box for like $3. I was very excited about this. Wearing the Toon Stars jersey. I know that means nothing to you, Joe, because I haven't seen Star Wars or Space Jam, but it means something to me, and I enjoyed it. So there's that. But more specifically, I did bring Danielle a present. So now, and you'll have to remind me on setting this up the right way, because I know her rabbit is named after a character from Hook, but I don't remember the name of the character that it's named after.
That's fair. I don't know why you're calling it her rabbit.
I thought it was her rabbit. Apparently it's your rabbit as well, Joe. I didn't mean to disparage your rabbit keeping ability.
When I walk in, you take cracks at her if you want. When I walk in, she will sometimes say to the rabbit, "Daddy's home," which drives me up the wall.
Well, she did slice the shit out of Danielle's hand as we were recording the first episode of this.
Yeah.
So that happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, what is the rabbit's name?
Rufio.
What is your rabbit's name?
There you go. Rufio.
There we go. So maybe this should have been a present for you, but it's a present for her. So I found the complete set of Hook movie trading cards and stickers. So here you go. 99 cards, 11 stickers, in order. Set that down. And a nice little protective case there. It's just soak that shit in.
Oh my god. Did you... Did they come in... This is too much. Did they come in order?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if you had actually spent that much time.
Sold as a set. I did just take a peek through here and there to make sure they're all there. So they're there. You got that entire set. I mean, that is worth literally singles of dollars. What you've got there. That's in the single digits,
actually,
that set.
Did you look that up?
I'm just gonna tell you that I used to collect a lot of like hockey cards and stuff.
Right.
Any card set that was produced in the early 90s, which that I think says 91 on them, anything from that whole era, whether it be movies, sports cards, whatever, because that's right when everybody like started finding stuff from the 60s that was worth a lot of money. That stuff that all got so mass-produced that none of it was worth anything. So essentially, I spent my entire childhood collecting like hockey cards that are worth 1 penny a piece now.
Right. Well, we've talked about the whole collecting thing.
And truthfully, I mean, I just enjoyed like opening the packs and sorting them, and I don't know.
Right.
It's not like I was 8 years old going, I'm going to retire off of this shit someday. But a lot of people were doing that, and so that all got overproduced way beyond the point of value. But I figured she would enjoy that. But if it's your rabbit, maybe you'll enjoy that too. So there you go.
Oh no, that's probably going straight to her. Oh yeah, those are. Yeah,
I'm assuming that based on the look on your face, I'm assuming you're verifying that these cards are in fact almost worthless.
Well, oh wait a minute, maybe not. No, what's kicking off in my head. Did you ever see Hook?
I did, but I was a child. I think
okay.
I did.
I mean, can you remember real quickly who the lead in that film was?
Robin Williams.
That's kind of what kicked off in my head. Since he's no longer with us, that maybe would change something.
So if there was a shoebox full, there was several of these sets. Several sets from like Pocahontas. Several of these things are not valuable things. But
gotcha.
I collect a lot of these same things. It's not necessarily valuable if she enjoys the flick. It's just fun to have.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
That is one of the things I like best about like my flea markets and thrift stores and stuff. Is not even so much like I'm not going because I'm going to find shit that is worth a bunch of money. But I just always keep an eye out for anything that I think somebody I know might enjoy, even just a small bit of enjoyment. Because everything's so cheap there, I can be like a giver of joy, Joe.
A giver of joy. That's very cool. I'm sure she will appreciate it. I appreciate you merely thinking of her.
Well, I feel like if for nothing else, I should reward her somehow for me stealing you away from her for this amount of time for this nonsense. So.
No.
You're like, no, Jeff, as worthless as these cards are, surely my time is worth even less.
Yeah. She'll, if we ever, have to start doing weekly, she might start getting mad. But if we're doing weekly, we're probably making money on it. She can calm down. That's my view of it.
Fair.
Yeah, dead air while we keep drinking.
That's just tasty.
I do actually really like this.
I apologize for nothing.
Yeah.
Dead air on this one.
The only beer I drank while camping, I think I should get extra credit for. It's an Amstel Radler, which is the first Radler I ever had, and I loved it. So I had some in the fridge, and I just kind of had a mixed bag that I brought with us. And this one night, Danielle and I finally decided, we bring alcohol every time, and we rarely touch it. We should drink these. But we hadn't put them in the cooler. So I did classic old school camping trick. I just threw them in the stream that was next to our campsite and let them sit there for about an hour. And then I had them tied together so we didn't lose them, and pulled them and walked out. And I think that, I should get credit for that, because that's pretty much a beer commercial. I'm pulling alcoholic beverages out of a nice mountain stream.
It's true. I have to say, since I've been, I say adult, but that's the loosely used term. Since I've been an adult, the only camping I've really done has been to be so I can spectate rally events.
Right.
And the beer cooling in the creek is a very commonly used method amongst those enthusiasts as well.
Yeah, because, the creek doesn't... When the creek's running, you're not worrying about melting ice. Or my biggest concern is always something that's not food safe floating around on the ice. And,
it was great, though. So there was... that coolers get pretty nasty sometimes out there.
Yeah.
There's an event in Pennsylvania for the Rally America series.
Right.
And the finish line of one of the stages is halfway in a creek. So there's a road that crosses. It's like a logging road that it's run on, so that people come down this hill and they have to go, and they can't slow down really to the water because the time's still going until they cross like the halfway point and hit the line. So they have to come smashing out of this creek, and so we would get there really early and go out in the middle of the creek, as close as like the safety stewards would let us get to where the cars are coming down, because it's not like they're going to turn 90 degrees and go up the creek. So you're in a safe spot. But we would get out there and we would bring a cooler with us and set up lawn chairs in the middle of the creek, and a little mini grill and just a rock that was sticking up out of it. So we'd have like a whole little spectator area set up in the middle of the creek. Actually, my buddy Rob and I are in there's a photo of the crowd from that event, and I don't remember what year it was anymore, but there's an STI brochure that we're in.
Right.
There's pictures from the event in there, because obviously that's exactly the rally car that you're buying there. So those pictures are in there, but we're a very tiny version of us with our whole little setup is right in the creek in the STI brochure.
I love it. I think I've seen that picture, actually. I think I've shown it to
I'm still waiting for my check to come.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath on that one.
I mean, I've had like 13 of those cars. They owe me a couple dollars at least for something.
Yeah. So this episode will be much more heavily edited, I feel.
Yes.
I don't think we hit this one as good as the first one, but that's just my opinion. Any other topics, any other things you wanted to bring up? My biggest thing was bringing up kind of, the how many people asked me why,
Sure. I didn't have anybody ask me that necessarily, but I feel like you've also talked to more people about this than me so far. I've been trying to just mainly promote it through my Twitter account, because I'm not active on Facebook at all, but I'm pretty active on Twitter from my personal account and from an account I have for a soccer group that I run that you are obviously aware of. And so we've had some followers from both of those things, but I really had positive comments. I don't think anyone that knows me sort of through that lens would have been surprised by me doing something like this.
Yeah.
A couple of my buddies I'd actually spoken to about it, even not in connection with you doing it, but it had been in conversation. Hey, I'd like to do something like that. So I don't think anybody was hugely surprised. I didn't get the whys, but I definitely, especially if it was somebody that that you've not talked to about doing it, and you're like, hey, I have this thing on the internet. I can definitely see why that's the first question that comes up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do want to amend that slightly though, because somebody at work was like, well, why are you doing that? You're not going to make any money off it. And I was like, yeah, I know, because I'm not a fucking idiot. I didn't expect to I'm going to record something. So in their mind, evidently what they thought is, I sat back and I'm like, I'm going to record some shit for an hour in Joe's apartment. but then I'm going to put it on the internet, not even on iTunes yet, although we are still working on that. And I'm just going to sit back and wait for the checks to come in. Because evidently that's how my mind works, Joe.
That can't be someone I know.
It's not.
Okay. I was going to say, it was pretty funny that you brought up Greg. It took me a minute when you said it to put together. I'm like, I don't know anybody named Greg. And then I figured it out. So, you, Greg, if you listen, hey, man. I also, I'm pretty sure, not positive, I sent it to... sorry, folks. This is another person that we know that we're not going to use a last name for. I sent it to Vic, and I really wouldn't be surprised if he grabbed it and listened to it. Because as I sent it to people, like I sent out a link when it went live to family and a couple of close friends, and then a couple of days later, I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, this person, and I sent out a text to like 10 people, and the next day we had 10 more downloads. So it kind of worked in concert where I was able to go, it must be these people that grabbed it. So I think he may have listened to it too. So on that, or in that vein, or on that note, if you guys are listening and you want to give some feedback to help make this better, don't forget you can do Twitter. I mean, you can text us too. You can do Twitter. I think, not positive, but I think there's actually a way to post comments right on the page where you download it from. Jeff is working on the iTunes thing, which is wonderful. I would much rather see it on YouTube, but that's also just because I've never been an Apple user at all, so I don't know really what exists there as far as how easy it would be to get. So if you guys see that kind of stuff, please feel free to drop a line, or you can throw it at words about things, again, words without the O, at Gmail. I kind of thought on the webpage there was a way to leave a comment, but maybe not.
I think there is.
Yeah.
Well, because when I logged in last time, it said 0 comments waiting to be moderated. And I said, oh, it's so sad.
Yeah. But see, I'm not seeing anything on the actual webpage to do that. So.
Have you ever thought making a website about Transformers? Oh, fuck, I fucked up the line now. God damn it. I know Elias, Joe. We know that for sure. Oh. Because I'm moderating for free.
Oh. Don't insult the guy.
Transformers and Lord of the Rings? Nice. I'm back. I was not there for a moment, but I'm back.
I wonder how much trouble we can get in for quoting movies. And with that being said,
I'm pretty sure not much, because the internet.
Yeah, this is true. There's one return, and it's of the king. For those of you who don't know what we're quoting,
I feel like most people that
go. Oh, so apparently I didn't know this. Apparently Kevin Smith was in town recently.
Yeah, I know. I did know that, but he did 4 shows at Helium Comedy Club, which were sold out evidently at the exact millisecond that they went on sale, because I was aware of it happening and couldn't get my hands on anything to be able to go. Because I've gone to one of his Evening Wiz. I did on the original DVD he did. A lot of it was shot at Cornell, and I wasn't at that one, but he came back to Cornell a couple years later and did like 5 hours, and it was amazing. Except I had to drive home from Ithaca then. That drive started at 2, and that part was less awesome. Yeah. But the show was great. I don't... Was he just doing like Evening With, or was it actually one of his podcasts? Because I know, he's got 18 different podcasts that just he does personally now. I know they've been doing those at venues now. Yeah. So I don't know even what he was doing, but I just saw him coming, and I tried... I feel like the same day they went on sale, I looked, and they were just all sold out. It might have been the day after they went on, but either way, it was all sold out immediately. Which kind of surprised me a little bit, because, I don't know, man, like, at Buffalo, I don't think of Buffalo as like a city where there's enough of a...
No, there's a big following, and you got to realize he has a tie to Buffalo. Apparently the Weinstein brothers from Buffalo.
Really?
That's what I've been told.
Did not know that.
Yeah. No, it's funny, I think I may have mentioned her to you. There's a young lady who's definitely going to support this pretty hard, because for an inexplicable reason, she's just a very supportive person of me specifically. I may have read the tweet or Instagram wrong, but I think she went to 3 of those.
I'll be real honest with you, man. If I could have gotten hands on those, I'd do the same thing. Yeah. Because that's the thing with him. Like, it's not like going to see a stand-up comic where they're going to do the same 40 minutes every night. Like, it's never going to be the same thing with him twice. Yeah. So I would have, had I been able to get kudos to her for doing that, because I think I was on the site the same day that shit went on sale, and it was gone already. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So.
Which I figured the shows would sell out, but I didn't think it'd be.
That
And
quick.
I'm not saying that to question his ability to pull in people because I'm a huge fan of his.
Right.
I just didn't think 4 shows would sell out immediately. You know?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. No, that's. I don't even know how we got on that topic. Can't remember. And we've.
I tried to quote Elias and failed.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah, I feel like most of the people that listen to this will know that movie, but if you don't, get on the internet and figure it out, and then figure out who wrote and directed that, and watch everything else he's done, and stop hating on Jersey Girl because I thought it was amazing. I really do. It's funny. A lot of people really kind of gave him shit. I thought it was phenomenal. It's probably one of my favorite ones.
I think people just. I'm not going to go as far as that with you. I think people just wanted it to be another Jay and Silent Bob movie.
Yeah.
And so since that was his first departure, because that was the first one he's done a bunch of different stuff at this point.
Right.
I think just with that being his first departure from that, I think people just maybe weren't ready for that. I mean, I don't know. I think it's fine for what it is. It's not meant to be a Kevin Smith movie, really. You know what I mean? He was trying to make a specific kind of movie.
Yeah.
I think in that genre, it's fine. But I mean, that's just not what people expected from him.
Right, and that's a lot of people fight me on. I'm not going to say that movie, outdoes like Dogma or Chasing Amy for me, but it is absolutely one of my favorite movies from him. That's just.
I feel like even Kevin would be surprised to hear someone saying that.
I thought it was
the amount of shit that he's taken.
Yeah, but really looking at that, I mean, so many of the artists, just creative people that I really get into, there's an evolution to, I mean, my favorite music artist, Ani DeFranco. If you listen to her first album and her most recent, they're, I mean, you won't think they're the same person in any way, shape, or form. And it's the same thing with him. I saw that movie as a departure from what he was doing, and I thought he brought in a more serious subject matter and jokes really, really well together. I thought it was phenomenal. Of course, the other part is I don't pay attention to pop culture as much as I can,
Right.
and so I didn't.
I think that's been made abundantly fucking clear.
Yeah.
During this
So
episode.
I wasn't even aware of fucking that. It was a movie that everyone hated by Ben Affleck and J-Lo. G.I.
Geely, I think it
Sure,
is, yeah.
whatever.
I didn't see it in the 3 days. I think that flipped back in the theaters. I remember Kevin talking about. He actually, I think it timed out with when I had seen him at Cornell, like when that had all happened.
Right.
And I don't know. I could be confusing this maybe with some other spoken writers watching him, but I feel like this was around the same time. And he was like, when that movie bombed, and I already had them signed up for my movie together.
Right.
Because he figured people would see the ad for that and just think it was the other one,
Yeah.
Which I'm sure part of it had to be that going in, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I feel like that's just anything he did first out of the box after doing like the View Askew universe stuff that he's best known for was going to be a tough go regardless.
Yeah.
I did love what he said recently though. What was it? Clerks 3, Mallrats 2. Audience 0, I believe, was the scoreboard that he put up recently for that. But we're getting close to 2 hours here. I think. Is there anything else?
I do want to correct myself. Weinstein is not from Buffalo. He attended University of Buffalo University of Buffalo.
Look at that.
And then they stayed here and produced rock concerts in Buffalo.
Did not know that.
Yeah, so there's at least a tie there. And let's be honest.
Presumably, some of the media classes I took were the same ones that he did, but I don't own the Max now, so that's worked out differently for me than it did.
Yeah,
that's good. It's taken a different path.
Ah, there you go. I've been starting on that one. All right, yeah, no, that's probably good. So there's that, and yeah, let's give that to the audience. We're currently at 1 hour 45 minutes of recording. Obviously, part of that's a big break to get beer and. Take a minute away from the mics, but we'll edit it down and get it out there. Thank you all very much for listening. Again, if you want to drop us a line, we're always happy to hear from you. throw it to the email or throw it to one of our cell phones. That's fine.
Definitely appreciate it. If this is you found this one and missed episode 0, go back and catch that. I will say half the microphones, so not as good in terms of the audio quality, but even still, it's where the adventure begins.
There you go. I think your title for this one is going to stick.
There we go. Yeah, episode 1. Now with more microphone.
Now with more microphone. Nice exclamation point at the end. So there's that. We're hoping to have this up at a specific time, which will fall in line with you guys getting to hear our delightfully raspy, unpracticed voices over questionable audio quality every other Monday. So here's hoping that holds up. If it doesn't, well, you guys can call us out on it forever because now it's on the internet and it's on a recording. So that's it for us. Thank you again for listening, and whatever you're doing, I hope you're successful, and have a good night.
Fuck pillow pants.